Detective Dinkie and his assistant Bogan had just returned from their latest vacation, and they were ready to take on their next case. They had been called to a small country town, where a serial killer had been terrorizing the community. The killer had been kidnapping young girls and leaving their bodies in the town's outskirts. The locals were terrified, and they begged the authorities to send in someone to catch the killer. Dinkie and Bogan were determined to bring this killer to justice. They knew that this would be a challenging case, especially since the killer was local and seemed to blend in well with the community. They would have to use all of their skills and resources to track him down. They began by interviewing the locals, looking for any clues or leads that might help them locate the killer. They searched the town and the surrounding area, but the killer seemed to have left no trace behind. As the days passed and the killer remained at large, Dinkie and Bogan knew they needed to bring in some extra help. They called on a forensic psychologist, a woman named Dr. Marie, who had worked with them on several cases before. Dr. Marie was a brilliant mind, and she was able to help Dinkie and Bogan narrow down their search. She analyzed the killer's MO and the crime scenes, and was able to identify a unique signature that the killer left behind. With this information, Dinkie and Bogan were able to focus their search on a small group of suspects who matched the killer's profile. They followed the leads, tracking the suspects and gathering evidence that led them closer and closer to the truth. Finally, after weeks of searching, they were able to locate the killer. He was a local man who had grown up in the town and seemed to be hiding in plain sight. Dinkie and Bogan knew that they had to act fast. They approached the suspect with caution, guns drawn, and confronted him in his home. The killer was armed and dangerous, but Dinkie and Bogan were not afraid. They were trained in the art of combat, and they were determined to bring this killer to justice. The killer was no match for Dinkie and Bogan, and he was quickly overpowered and taken into custody. The town was finally safe, and the world was once again a safer place, thanks to the detective and his assistant. As they stood on the steps of the courthouse, receiving accolades and praise from the media, Dinkie turned to Bogan and said, "Well, old friend, that was quite a case. I don't know about you, but I could use another vacation." Bogan chuckled and replied, "I'm with you, detective. Let's go someplace peaceful and relax for a while." And with that, Dinkie and Bogan set off on their next adventure, ready to take on whatever challenges came their way.